Just want to start off by saying thank you to Ephraim Eggbelly and the EFS Group for their credit repair and tax preparation services. Right off the back, I was completely impressed, and the EFS Group exceeded all of my expectations by far. I was just like most people when it came to tax season. I only cared about getting a big return. Nothing else really mattered for the most part. And for years, I had been getting nice returns, and then all of a sudden I started getting letters from the IRS requesting documents and information that I knew nothing about nor had. After maybe a month or two of going back and forth with the IRS, sending different documents back and forth, I was pretty much just backed into a corner. I was on the verge of making, I think, maybe 3 or 4 different payment plans that I wouldn't have been able to afford over time. It was almost a situation where I was just giving up and just going to accept, the debt that they were saying I was in and owed to them. I was looking online and I saw an ad posted by Ephraim Eggbelly for the EFS Group. And I knew Ephraim from a while back. I knew he was a good guy, so just decided to give him a call and see if there was anything he could do to assist me before I completely threw in the towel. Right off the back, I was impressed with Ephraim's conversation. It seemed like he was very knowledgeable of the different tax problems that people can have, as well as the solutions to get people back on track and assist with the payments to the IRS and consolidating the debt owed to IRS. After the first conversation, I just had it in my mind that I was going to go ahead and hire the EFS Group and see what can happen. I mean, it couldn't have been any worse than me just selling and making, and like I said, 3 or 4 payment plans that I would have been stuck with for 10 plus years or so. After I sent maybe 50 to 75 documents to Ephraim for review, he advised me that there were several things that were submitted incorrectly and just missed by the prior tax preparation service I had used. And in a short amount of time, it was almost like a miracle, the magic that he worked. I mean, like I said, I sent him 50 to 75 documents, and I was expecting him to need at least a month or two before I would hear anything back from him as far as any progress. But we're talking about just in a matter of weeks, all of my IRS problems pretty much were resolved. I got a few letters from Ephraim, that I needed to review and sign. And I guess I would say maybe in a month's time turnaround, I received a letter from the IRS, and they were requesting a one-time payment, and it was like maybe 90% less than the previous documents I received from them requesting payment. So in the end, the EFS Group cut my IRS debt by 90%. And I was able to just write one check for that. And I think the biggest mistake people make is just having the wrong people do their taxes. I mean, when tax season comes around, you pretty much have everybody trying to say they do taxes or they know this person that does taxes. And it's like, well, hey, I mean, what has this person been doing for the last 10, 15 years? All of a sudden they're doing taxes now, and you're going to trust that person. And that's when you end up in a situation like I was in. I also think the people that do their own taxes, nothing is wrong with that, but if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to make mistakes. And then you're also going to be in that same situation with letters from the IRS requesting, immediate payment. And then at that point you're going to be regretting doing your own taxes, or letting just a random person do your taxes that may not have the experience or the knowledge to fully do taxes. And so with that being said, when you get that big return and you don't really understand the deductions that were applied, or the different things that may have been added. I want to be careful when I say that. Things that may have been added to your return to get you a bigger return. You may not really care about those things until it comes back to haunt you. You may just get that big check now, and then 4 to 5 years later, you're in the same situation I was in, to where you're having to submit documents to the IRS. But you basically just want to do your research and get to know the people that are doing your taxes and credit repair, and just make sure they're fully capable and understand everything that's going on with your situation. Because everybody's situation isn't the same, and that's one thing I found different with Ephraim and the EFS Group. It was like everything was real personal. I didn't get the vibe that he was just talking to me like I was just another person that he was just trying to make some money off of. I mean, he showed sincerity and real concern, and the willingness to help me beyond what I was asking. So, I mean, again, EFS Group, they exceeded all my expectations, and I strongly recommend them for their tax preparation and credit repair services. With the credit repair services, I didn't think I had any credit issues, because I had already paid off all my credit debt. I didn't have anything. Well, let me change that. I didn't know of anything on my credit that would hurt me. Maybe a few months after all my IRS issues got resolved with the EFS Group, my wife and I found out that we were going to be having a new addition to the family. So we were in an apartment at the time, and we pretty much just decided it was time to get a house. And, I said, okay, hey, shouldn't have an issue. We had cash for a down payment. And like I said, I assumed our credit was okay. After working with the realtor for about a month or two, we found a home and started going through the process of getting approved for a mortgage. And that process was maybe a good 3-4 weeks or so by itself. The mortgage guy that we were working with, he came back and told us that we were denied. And he said it was because of our credit scores. And this was shocking to me, because like I said, I paid off everything in the years prior to that. And I assumed my credit was at least decent, since I didn't have anything pending or outstanding that I knew of. So, again, I called the EFS Group, spoke to Ephraim, sent him everything he requested, and I wasn't surprised that pretty much went the same as it did with the IRS problems. It probably was a few weeks or so. And there were some additional things that I needed to send Ephraim. So, I had my work cut out too. It wasn't just a situation where I just sent Ephraim, 50 to 75 documents. Again, I had to do some of my own due diligence to work with Ephraim and the EFS Group. And, we were able to get a few lines of credit open. There were some negative remarks on our credit reports that he was able to get removed. There were a few things on our credit reports that were on there and shouldn't have been on there, so he was also able to get those removed. And I would say in maybe another month or so, we got our credit scores, and just off of 1 month of working with the EFS Group, my wife and our credit scores were raised, drastically, just off of 1 month, and I didn't even know that was possible. But it still wasn't enough for us to get approved for the mortgage that we were applying for. So, unfortunately, we weren't able to get the home that we had found the first go round, but I guess maybe another 6 months or so, after having all those lines of credit established, and there were also several other things we were doing to help build our credit, we applied for a mortgage again, and that time we got approved. Everything went smoothly. There were no hiccups or anything, no surprises the second go around. And like I said, I give all that credit to Ephraim Eggbelly and the EFS Group. I mean, because without them, there were several things I wouldn't have knew about, and we probably would still be in an apartment today if it wasn't for me contacting Ephraim again for the credit repair assistance. So, with all that being said, again, I strongly recommend Ephraim Eggbelly and the EFS Group for tax preparation and credit repair service. I mean, you don't have to use them for both of them. You might not need tax preparation and credit repair service. You might just need credit repair service. But either way, like I said, I strongly recommend them. I stand by them 100%, and it's really nothing else I can say. I mean, EFS changed our lives.